Hi, we are live for today's hormone chat. Today we're going to talk about mood changes in perimenopause because, we talk a lot about weight. I feel like a lot of the attention in midlife is on weight and what we look like. And at the end of the day, you can lose weight, you can gain muscle, you can get more trim, you can do all of these things in perimenopause just like you can when you're younger. And that's great. That's wonderful. But one of the kind of lesser talked about and really huge thing that happens in perimenopause is women struggle a lot with mood changes. So specifically anxiety and depression. And in fact, women who are in their 40s and 50s are the largest demographic that are prescribed anti-anxiety and antidepressant medications. So, that says something. There's a lot coming at us in this time of life. Our bodies are changing on the outside. Our kids are getting older, which can be really hard. Our parents are getting older, also hard. We might be questioning career choices or even marriage choices. And then smack dab in the middle of all that, our hormones start changing. What? So it's really easy to get focused on, oh, I've gained weight. And that is important too. I won't discount that. I want you to feel good in your body, but that doesn't always bring happiness too, right? And there are very real hormone changes that happen in perimenopause that impact your mood, things that you cannot control, literal chemical, if you will, hormonal changes that take your mood, if we could lump it together and take it, I picture it like a sleigh, and it's like estrogen takes the reins and is like, hiya. It's kind of how I have it played out in my head. And like, there it goes, your mood, do, 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 alongst the sleigh. When we reach perimenopause, our progesterone takes a nosedive, and that's one of your major female hormones. And that progesterone change mostly contributes to anxiety. We see a big increase in anxiety in our 40s when progesterone starts to drop. And then comes its friend estrogen, our other main female sex hormone. And estrogen, it doesn't drop like progesterone does. It goes for more of like a roller coaster ride. It goes up and down and left and right and everywhere in between, right? And as these things are happening, again, it's taken our mood along with it on that ride. And when I say mood, that can mean different things to different people. That can mean anxiety to you. You might feel more tense and just edgy and on just kind of your nerves are on edge. That might be a mood change to you, right? It could be depression. You could just be sad and you're not sure why and you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. It could be you're irritable and impatient and just really short, and that's not your typical mood or affect. So it can manifest in different ways, but all of these things that I've just described are very real scenarios. And if you're finding yourself in these scenarios and feeling these things and you didn't typically feel them, this isn't you, then there is a very, very, very good chance that your hormones are at play and are causing you to feel these ways, or at least largely contributing. And while this is unfortunate because we don't want you to be anxious, depressed, irritable, in some way, in a small token, it's kind of like, oh, okay, phew, there's a reason. There's a reason I'm acting this way. There's a reason I'm snapping at my spouse who I love, but all of a sudden I'm just short-tempered with him. There's a reason I'm crying at, the Geico insurance commercials when I've never really been a crier, right? It's kind of like, it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's your hormone. But if you're in this boat and if it's really impacting your quality of life, the good news is we can help. We can make a huge impact by bringing some hormone balance to your life. If you're a little bit moody, a lot of people ask what's normal and what's not normal in perimenopause. Like if I'm a little irritable, a little moody, like is that normal? And that's subjective. What's normal for you? What is manageable or tolerable for you? If you're a little irritable or a little bit snappy here and there, but it's really no big deal, okay, then, you might make it through perimenopause and mood changes aren't a big thing for you, or, whatever it may be. But if it's impacting your quality of life, if your mood changes, your depression, your crying, your sadness, your irritability, if it's impacting your quality of life, your work performance, your personal goals, any goals that you've had, if it's impacting your marriage or your relationship with your children, that is where I draw the line and say, okay, this has gone a little bit too far. We need to intervene. And let's look at your hormones. Because you're in perimenopause, we know your hormones are changing, or at least we suspect they're changing. Let's dive deeper and see if this is the missing link and see if this is the cause. And that's where we come in. We do offer hormone testing. I like hormone testing. It's a good confirmation of what we already suspect. If you're having these symptoms alone and you're in your 40s or early 50s and you haven't reached menopause, then it's safe to say that your hormones are likely involved. But by testing your hormone levels, we can just get even further confirmation than that. So that can be a good starting point for you potentially. Another good way to look at this, if you think back to when you were in your 20s or 30s even, and you're cycling, you think about PMS. We all know about PMS, right? When we're PMSing, women are looked at as being bitchy, irritable, moody, all these things that come with that label of PMS. And what is PMS? What's happening? Your hormones are changing. That's the time of the month where your hormones are doing the most shifting, right? And that's when we experience those symptoms. Side note to this, we have now a good bit of research showing that if you really struggled with bad PMS, or what's called PMDD, which is kind of like next level PMS, if you struggled with these things when you're younger, you're more likely to have a harder perimenopause to menopause transition, because again, your PMS symptoms happen when your hormones are doing their greatest shift of the month, when they're changing, right? For those of us who had underlying hormone issues all along the way and had bad PMS means that you have a hormone imbalance, right? It's not normal to have bad PMS. It's not normal to have horrible cramps, horrible ovulation pain, to be extremely moody. Those things are not normal, even though society kind of trains us to think that they are. But if you had bad PMS, then you had some hormone issues all along the way that maybe were never addressed. So then when you reach perimenopause, those hormonal imbalances carry over and they make your perimenopause symptoms a lot worse. So if you think about it this way, when we PMS, again, our hormones are shifting, but in perimenopause, we lose that monthly rotation of hormones. So it's not just a once a month shift in hormones that causes these PMS symptoms. It's tomorrow, the next day, 2 weeks from now, anytime in between. Your PMS is potentially coming whenever the heck it wants to during perimenopause. Your hormones are shifting at an unpredictable and erratic rate. And the worse, the more imbalanced or the more hormonal issues you had going into perimenopause, the worse that's going to be. So if you have always struggled hormonally and never really dealt with it at its core, this is the time, because it's not going to get better. Your perimenopause will be harder. And if you're already there in the thick of it, it can potentially get harder unless you address these things now. And then carry it even further, once you cross that menopause threshold, those early menopausal signs and symptoms can also be a lot more intense if you have these underlying hormonal abnormalities. So again, at the end of the day, it's not you, it's your hormones. And there's a lot of things that we can do to fix it. So while weight is good to focus on, while hot flashes are good to focus on, we want you feeling the best you possibly can in all aspects. At the end of the day, we want to stabilize your hormones so that you're happy, so that you're a happy mom and a loving, patient wife who is intentional in her movements, intentional in the ways that she acts and she speaks. I want you to have this alignment with what you want to do and how you want to act and live your life. Um, I want that to align for you. And one of the best absolute places to start is with your hormones. So if you're struggling with mood changes, specifically anxiety, depression, or irritability in perimenopause, don't suffer in silence. We are here to help. And you can have your happy, positive moods back. You can have your normal affect back once we really dig to the root of your hormone imbalances and address them once and for all. So, holler at me. I'm here to help you guys in any way. Have a wonderful day.